certain things that you need to see.
Yeah.
You forget that you have to keep that work relationship very professional and keep it going. And just like she said, sometimes these things could lead to eye service in a workspace. And then you see people that ordinarily they will not even stress to do a lot. They'll just be doing so much and they'll be doing nothing
at all.
They're not productive, they're not impactful, they're just walking up and down just when the boss is around to make it look like I'm doing the job, but at the end of the day they're not doing the job. So today we want to look at the dark side, and that is why we hinted earlier that it's going to be a table shaking moment, because it's going to be more like, talking to people on why they should know when to cut it down. Seems like today we are talking about excessive things. You remember earlier we spoke about gambling, where people are taking it overboard. They are just overdoing it. And now we are looking at the fact that some people become excessively loyal. Sometimes some people could be excessively loyal, not because it's a bad thing. They are loyal because they feel it's supposed to, help the company. There's nothing wrong with being loyal to your boss. You should be loyal to your employer. But at some point, this loyalty could be detrimental to you as a person.
And can be detrimental to your boss as well.
Yes, because you pointed out that fact of eye service. Yes. You're just not doing anything. You're just pretending to be working. Only when the boss is around.
Yes. And let me tell you, it is wise for you to understand what you're loyal to. Right? Do not be emotionally connected to error. That's what a lot of us do. Now, say for instance, we have heard about toxic organizations. Especially, this thing is a very relevant conversation in a toxic work environment. Now, you know that your boss, first of all, let us establish that employee loyalty is very essential. It's very essential. But when it becomes blind loyalty, that's where the problem. What is blind loyalty? You know that your loyalty is blind when you start ignoring unethical practices or misconduct. When you start covering up mistakes or wrongdoing, or when you start prioritizing loyalty over personal values and morals. Now, let me share a story with us in Lagos. I think it was all over online. It was on the blogs, where a certain guy went to work on this day, but never came back from work. Never got back from the office. The family is finding out, trying to reach the guy, is ringing, nobody else is speaking. At the end of the day, it stopped ringing. So the parents or the family of that person was like, oh, maybe the guy, maybe his phone was stolen. They made their way to the office. They didn't see him there, and the people say he didn't come to work. Now, this guy actually did come to work. What happened? I don't think I followed to the end of that story. But at the end of the day, the guy was dead. And the company took the guy to the mortuary without the consent of his family. And from what some people suggested, it was, hazard, a job hazard, Okay, the guy ate. When he ate, the food was poisoned and he died there. Now, the thing is, at the end of the day, conversations started coming up and like, okay, he was challenging the boss, so his food was poisoned, someone else was planted to poison. So many stories. Some people say it was hazard at the job, maybe something hit him, he fell down and he died or something. But in the course of that investigation, certain people who proved to be loyal to the company knew what happened to that boy, but refused to speak up. This is blind, unhealthy devotion and loyalty. Trust me, if something happens to anybody here and I know who is responsible for it, I'm not part of those people.
Table shaker.
In school, then when they'll say, we had a fish pond in school then. Some stubborn girls went and carried the fish and they ate the fish. And they said, if you don't say who ate the fish, they'll flog all of you. Why? You people didn't give me fish to eat. So I didn't eat the fish with you people.
You did not partake in
I did not. I'm not part of those people that will say, let's just chest and collect the pay. For two people, why can't you just come out and say, oh, I did it? So you would rather the entire class serve the punishment than holding the people who did it accountable. You will grow tomorrow now and find yourself somewhere, and you will now try to hold the government accountable. Can you see the double standard that we practice? So let me tell you something. Loyalty can be blind. Loyalty can be unhealthy. Let's say, for instance, you are working in an organization, and there's a new product for the organization that the company is trying to market, and then the owner of the company says, okay, let's make this 500,000 because anybody can buy it. You who have not even done feasibility studies on whether or not that product should be sold at that amount, you go and meet your boss and say, yes, that's what my boss said, that's what my boss says, so that's what it is. You have ignored the ethical practice and conduct. What is ethical practice? You do market feasibility studies. What is obtainable in the market as touching the product that you want to sell, right? Yeah. Not because my boss said it. As my boss said it, is this the right thing? Is this the correct thing to be done? But you see, for some of us, I'm sorry, I didn't plan to shake this table. We are blindly loyal. Unhealthy, it's an unhealthy form of loyalty where you cannot state it as it is. Now, there's a place for diplomacy at work where everything, you're not supposed to attack everything just as you're feeling it. You must not say everything just, in fact, if you're always reactive to things and conditions, right, you become vulnerable to people because they know where to attack you and they know where to get a certain reaction from you. So they can do it at almost any time to put you in trouble. So yes, there's a place for diplomacy, but there's also a place for loyalty that is in line with ethical practice and conduct.
You know, you said something about the fact that sometimes we have employees in an organization who feel that they just have to be loyal. And it's not just being excessively loyal to your boss. Some people are excessively loyal to their colleagues at the detriment of the company. Even if something happens, they know that their colleague is doing a certain thing that is harmful or detrimental to the company.
Goods of the company.
They will not say it because it's their cycle or clique or friends, you know, they would not own up to that. So they would rather watch the company burn down or they watch the company go down than for them to, you know, give up that loyalty in court that they have with their friends. So we want to look at it side by side. Why is it that people tend to be excessively loyal? There are people who are caught up in this excessive loyalty. I'm going to give another instance. You know, sometimes, you know, in the beginning of your career, foundational stages, they will tell you, oh, you don't have to burn bridges, you have to be loyal to people, you need to show this. Even when people are not comfortable in their jobs, you know, you feel some form of gratitude to your employer that you don't want to leave, even when there is no improvement, there is no promotion of whatsoever. You don't feel appreciated, yet you just want to be there. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say, because you are feeling some type of loyalty to them. And at the end of the day, your career is suffering. As I speak to you, there are people who are going through that. There are people who are finding it difficult to break away from the chains of excessive loyalty because they feel that, oh, my employer has been so good to me in quotes. But somehow you realize that they are using your head. Yes, but you cannot leave.
It's a common thing. It's a common thing here in the Nigerian workforce.
Your head is being used on a platter, but you cannot give up. You can't leave that place because you just feel like, okay, let me just keep doing because I feel indebted to this person.
Yes.
And then before you know it, they are overworking. They are burnt out. They begin to neglect their own personal life. You can't even connect with your friends. You can't even connect your family. Before you know it, you've lost virtually everything and everyone. And then even the job, one day they will just give you a letter and say, yes, since you have been here, you've refused to improve on yourself, we have brought another replacement.
And the truth is, every employer knows, they know the result they're looking forward to having.
Yes.
You see, so if I employ you now, I know what I expect of you. I know what is required of you. So there are some employers that are wise enough to detect this kind of loyalty. So when they see it, they know how to deal with it.
Once an employer sees that kind of loyalty,
they know.
Call it out.
They know. The thing is, they know.
But like,
they know. Most employers know. So say for instance, I'll use my personal example. I worked somewhere where this person was used to telling, you know how staff will gather together and like, we need to have this meeting. How do we need to better this place? How do we need to work on that, And I was in a management position then. So we have this conversation. The idea of the conversation is not even to tell the boss. The boss does not have to know. It's supposed to be, how you want to impress your employer.
Yeah.
Okay, you employed me for this purpose. Let me do something that is striking that can contribute to your organization.
Yes.
This person was always going to tell before we execute it. Was always going to tell, this is what they want to do. That's what they want to do. Next thing, you hear your boss saying something like, that thing you people want to do, don't do it. I did not send you. Do you understand? Things like that.
That loyalty that leads to a pro.
Exactly. And do you know what happened? What made me realize in that moment that there's no gain in living that kind of life? There was a time we wanted to make a certain decision for the organization. And the owner of the organization said, I want everybody except that person. So everybody be present at that meeting except that person. Because you have already exhibited a trait that shows that you are not confidential, right? You are not confidential. People cannot trust you. Now, unhealthy devotion, right? What are some of the characteristics you see? Number one is unhealthy devotion. One of the characteristics of unhealthy devotion you would see is overworking or burnout due to excessive dedication. So you are burnt out, but you are still working just because
prove a point
exactly
that you are loyal.
And like you said, from the start of everyone's career, they did that. Where they'll tell you they'll pay you with exposure. We'll give you exposure. We'll give you. I've worked for.
It's giving PTSD.
No, yes, I've worked for 25. I've worked for 25,000 before.
It's giving PTSD.
I was imagine that I will go to work 7 days a week, 30 days or 31 days a month to collect 25,000.
I started my career with the mindset of any job is a job, any work, any work now work. As much as I would say that I don't entirely regret it,
because
if I was in a position to mentor any young person, I always tell other people, other professionals, up and aspiring professionals in the industry, I would say you need to know your worth and add value, add tax your worth. Because the moment you are settling for any work, or they want to pay you with exposure, Abi, how did you put it?
No, they paid me the exposure.
Before you know it, no, you could volunteer. No,
volunteering is different. Do you understand? Because you decided.
If you're not volunteering, then please resist the urge to be paid with exposure, because they will see you and finish. You'll be seen and you'll be finished.
So that's what happens when you serve there's a passage of I'm a Christian, so I would always make reference to scripture. There's a passage of scripture that says, do not cast your pearls before swine. What that means is pearls are precious items.
You need to know your worth.
Exactly. Pearls are very precious items.
Hold your worth as a person.
Yes.
If you know what you are doing,
exactly,
then you should be able to, raise value for yourself.
Exactly.
And just like we are saying, these are some of the things that lead to this whole loyalty thing.
Not loyalty, excessive loyalty
in a workspace. Because if maybe since they are paying you the exposure, if you act so loyal, excessively loyal to this person or to the management, there will be a raise in your pay.
Guess what, Cassandra? The person who works very hard and delivers on their job does not need to go and ruin anybody's name to get what they want. They can demand it. That's why, see, when I'm talking about the workspace, it's not like maybe I have all of the experiences, but I can say that I went through the rocks, basically, because I was hungry to work.
Look, especially for those of us that started on a very rocky path.
Yes.
I've never been out of the workspace. I think since after graduation, the highest time I've been out of the workspace is for a month. I've always been working. So just like you're saying, there are things that I can basically relate to. And there is still so much to learn.
Yeah.
Because there is no enough experience that one can gather.
Exactly.
But sometimes when we come together, it's just to talk about these things because they are happening. And I know that someone out there is stuck somewhere between this whole excessive loyalty thing. Sometimes they don't even know that what they are doing is bad. It's not even that they are loyal because they want to take a proco or maybe they want to gossip or no. They just want to prove
they don't
themselves.
know better.
Yeah, they want to prove that I am
capable. The greatest
I am the best.
The greatest prove you can give is delivering on your job. Trust me. See, the thing that I have a mentor who says that the same energy it takes you to be fake is the exact same energy it takes you to be real. Do you understand?
Some people invest more in being fake.
So you don't really have to. You don't really have to. Let me tell you, if you're lucky if you have an organization, or if you work in an organization where you get feedbacks, thankfully we do have that here, because when you're doing something, they call you out. Okay, this is not it. That is supposed to be it. That helps you to shaping your career. But if you're someone who wants to choose the route of unhealthy devotion, it sets you up for number one. If I have any responsibility, any serious responsibility around the workspace, I will not give it to you, because I know that you would rather follow the easier route than to go through the right route, right? So let me tell us, unhealthy devotion leads to overworking or burnout due to excessive dedication. I want to get this job done so that my employer will be happy. But there's nothing wrong with saying, sir, I'm so sorry, I feel burnt out. Can I do this another time?
You neglect devotion of,
the value of, you see,
what the division of
labor.
Yes,
sir, can we delegate this task or responsibility? It's too much.
I used to find myself in that in that whole thing. Let me shake my own table.
Okay.
So I'll be like, okay, that was years ago though. I'll be like, let me do everything. I want to do everything because I'm feeling as if I just need to get it done. If I delegate, it may not. Even though I've found myself in positions where I've had the opportunity to delegate responsibilities, I still want to do it myself. But at some point, I have realized that the actual thing that comes with leadership, or anywhere you find yourself, is being able to work with people, being able to,
share responsibilities.
Yes, share responsibilities. So don't go all out trying to be excessively loyal and then at your own detriment.
Let me tell you something about
pack everything on your head.
Let me tell you about sharing.
Yes,
let me tell you something about sharing responsibilities. Most people are afraid of sharing responsibility, and trust me when I say, at some point of my career, to have been at that point where I don't want to delegate this duty because I'm afraid
that it may not be done properly.
No, I might not be done. I'm afraid that person will take my spot in the organization.
Okay.
So it happens a lot. I don't want to delegate this responsibility to somebody because that person
might do it better.
The person might do it better than me, and I'll be thrown under the bus. But that's, if you heard us last week when we were talking, we mentioned things like working on intangible things. Intangible things are the things that are in it that cannot be taken away from you. So, say for instance, I'm a writer and I have the opportunity to delegate the responsibility to someone. I might say, that person might write such a good piece, but so if that person writes a good piece, they might not need me again. But guess what? I can be good and the other person can be good too. So I can work on my writing skills. One thing about writers is we all have our peculiarities. I might be able to write, but I will not write.
You're a writer.
Wait.
She said,
wait first. I might be able to write something, but I will write it from a perspective that you would not write.
Of course.
And I can write, and you can write something from a perspective that I might never be able to relate to. Remember, all of these things is just your experiences put together. Everything we do, every decision we make, most times are a reflection of our experiences and our mindset. So it's okay to delegate duties. But if you work so hard on yourself, there'll be no need for you to be afraid of somebody taking your spot, because you know that I do what I do well, and I do it well. So if you do what you do well, it's also a plus to the organization. So you see, any right thinking organization will keep this person with that kind of mindset, because if that person happens, the person who keeps hoarding on the jobs, wants to do everything because they want to prove their worth, and they don't want anybody that is as good as them into the company, any right thinking organization will discard such a person. Because if they are on the panel for an interview, if they see someone who happens to be a threat to them, they would not employ that person. If they are on a panel, or they happen to sit where they want to give that person or delegate a duty to that person, there will be the reason to stop it. Will that make the organization grow? No. Absolutely not.
Because one person cannot do everything in an organization.
Yeah, exactly. So yes, one of the major things that happens to you when you become, or you are on the dark side of the divide, you will lose individuality or autonomy. One thing I want to happen to me is, wherever I go, let me be Martha. So much so that nobody can take my identity away from me. So I'm doing my job, but I don't lose myself in the process of doing my job. Now, some organizations have very unhealthy practices. Very unhealthy practices. Imagine you are working at an organization that evades tax. You know, they don't want to pay tax in any way, right?
Yeah.
So you should be, if you say, right, you are that upright, you should be able to call out your organization to say, oh, I'm sorry, this is against my own personal principles. You know,
she activist.
Yes, that's how. See, when we are talking about making the workspace better or making the country better, it starts with the most difficult decisions. We avoid the difficult conversations. We avoid making the difficult conversations or having the difficult conversations because we want to just be comfortable at all times. Change is painful. That's one thing I always will say. Change is very, very painful. And it takes someone who is courageous to go through change. Now, who is that person who is loyal but has become excessively loyal? When does it get too far? This person enables toxic behaviors. So tolerating or exclusive, abusive or toxic leadership. Say for instance, you are in an organization and your boss is very abusive. Keeps using abusive languages. Some bosses physically assault the people that work under them, and this is no joke. Some bosses abuse staff that work under them. Haven't you seen a boss slap their staff? You know, haven't you seen them physically beat their staff or use certain languages on them that are not right? Now, say for instance, we're having the conversation to say, oh, we have to speak to the boss about this. You know, the way he speaks to us, it dampens our spirit. We are not able to carry out our responsibility well. That over loyal person will say, it's his organization now.
Yeah.
What did he do? He did not really mean it.
What happens in the workspace?
Yes, it's not that bad. Why are you making it look as if it's bad?
Something bad.
Do you understand? So that's a very, very terrible place to be at. Now, perpetuating harmful company culture. Say, for instance, if you watch some of those short reels on Instagram and all of those social media platforms where you see, okay, I don't like this person in the workspace. I'm the boss here and I hire a cleaner. Go and put one of the valuable assets of the organization inside the locker of that person so that that thing will be found in the locker of the person and the person will be fired. That's what over loyalty causes. They can use you to perpetuate harmful crimes or harmful company culture, and that's not what you want. Now, silencing whistleblower or dissenting voices, the person who is always speaking up for the right thing, like I talked about evading tax now. When you come up and say, sir, we ought to be paying tax, that's what is required of us as an organization or as an institution, you silence the person. You go and tell the boss that's what the person said. Say you are not paying tax, you are a criminal. How do you tell my boss I said this is a criminal if it's not because you are also a criminal? You know, so these things happen. We think that we are protecting the interest of the company when in truth we are dismantling the structure. We are harming the structure of the organization. So it's important for you to know when you are loyal and when you have become excessively loyal
or devoted.
Exactly.
And of course, we are still talking about the fact that sometimes boundaries would not be established. Yes, lack of boundaries. It's either you are sacrificing your self-care or well-being. Like we said, you are losing out on catching up with your friends or families. Because because you're basically trying to unnecessarily over impress. There is nothing wrong in doing so much for your company or where you work. At your job so that people would appreciate you. Nothing wrong with that. But when it becomes excessively, like it's excessive to a point where you are basically just doing it because, oh, let me do it for the fact that I just want to do it. I don't want any other person to outshine me or something like that. And then you also allow work to invade your personal space. Maybe you're at home with family, you're still attending to work. You are somewhere with somebody, you are still attending to work. You know, there are companies that they even work when they are at home. Some bosses will tell you that you have to be on your phone. Even if you're with your boyfriend, you have to pick. There are bosses that will tell you that you have to put my ringtone. It has to be different.
So that you know.
Yes, that is your boss. Like, there is this mental gymnastics that comes with working with certain workspaces because your mental health is going to be tried, but somehow some people enable it. They become excessively loyal, and then that is how some of these employers take advantage. And then still moving on to the fact that you could get burnt out, like we've already stated. You could feel trapped, yes, And that brings us to the part where we talk about the signs. Because you are feeling trapped, you are feeling obligated, you have difficulties in saying no.
To
you cannot say
excessive
yes, you
requests.
cannot say, okay, they ask now, can someone do this? Or will you do it? Then
Yes.
you don't want to say no because you want to impress, and then you not say yes, they should bring it. They keep piling the work.
If you
piling,
can, no,
piling.
there's no problem with it.
But sometimes being able to can does not mean that your mind
must
is calm or your mind calm. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
You might want to do it, but as the human body works or as the human mind works, there is a limit to what you should be able to do, because your body isn't it's not firewood now.
Yeah.
So it has to take its rest at some point. So you just need to know when this whole loyalty thing is becoming unhealthy, when you're beginning to prioritize company interest over. I'm not saying don't now. That is where you are getting
let me tell you
your
something.
paycheck.
Yeah, I've worked.
But you need to moderate. Remember, I was talking about proportion.
Moderate.
Proportion. Yes,
Yeah,
you need
moderate.
to put things in proportion.
Moderately.
How do you moderate things? As you're balancing work, you're balancing your personal life, because it's important that all of these things work hand in hand.
Yeah.
But the point where it's just work, when your friends call you,
It's
you don't
work.
have time. One
It's
day
excessive.
they will hand you sack letter, and the only person you'll be left with
It's your office.
is the
But it's true. See, we might be having this conversation like it's not a joke, because it has happened.
It's reality. It's reality check.
I know
actually.
you have found yourself there before. Let me tell you what happened one time with an organization. I was working for this organization, and so they now came and said, "Oh, we had to organize an event in Lagos, and there's no money to organize. There's no money to run that organization." So I'm like, "Oh, I understand the vision of this place. We can do it. We can get it done. You know, with that mentality." Everything it took to get that job done, I did it, including putting my personal finances.
That's another thing of
Your
excessive
personal
loyalty.
that's what it will do.
You
Your
know that there's some
personal-
jobs that expect you to use your money
Exactly.
to be doing, like,
Your personal,
How-
putting your
I could use my
personal
personal
finances.
money, but let it not be like I'm obligated to be using my personal
So
money.
this
to do
what
certain
this is
things.
what excessive loyalty can. You don't know when to draw the line.
Yes.
You don't know when to draw the line. Now let's tell you the consequence of these things. She has made mention of burnout severally and mental health issues, because it's become obsessive. You have become obsessive about carrying out your responsibility. Now you will compromise a lot of personal relationships. And you see, some of the great relationships you can have, they come from school, they come from work, and they come from your place of worship. Because as human beings, these are the three major places that we spend our time, you know. So if you start compromising your personal relationships, the ones that you get at work, the ones you get at school, or wherever, right? If you compromise it, you will end up being lonely and unhappy.
Yeah.
So these are the consequences of over loyalty. Is good to be loyal, trust me. It pays to be loyal. I want to be that person that my boss knows that as long as it depends on Martha, this job will be done. That's the kind of loyalty I want to have. Professional loyalty. My employer knows that, okay, if you are looking for somebody that will get this job done, she can get it done. That's the kind of loyalty that I want. But I don't want to ever be in a position where I am not able to deliver that. But because you say that I can do it, I must do it. If I can do it with the whole of my heart, I will do it. But if I cannot, I'll tell you, these are the reasons I cannot do it. Can you please, excuse me? Now, this one says, that's quite a long read, but he says, "Good afternoon, Martha, and Cassandra. Loyalty is the quality of being faithful, devoted, and steadfast in one's allegiance, commitment, or affection towards a person and organization. But most bosses have demanded more than loyalty. Some are now asking for worship, thereby putting themselves in the place of God. But safe to say that many people today, due to the fear of the unknown, has keyed into this, and many has taken advantage of their loyalty, and they have succumbed to the fear of men, and this has sent many people to where they do not know. It is good we have a balanced view of loyalty and know when to draw the line. know your worth and be confident in yourself. Do what you have to do and do it well, and know how to respectfully resist unnecessary pressure from these over demanding bosses, and stop being over loyal in order not to become the devil's advocate due to excessive loyalty. This is Uche from Akamata, and he has said it all. One thing I want to underline here is know your worth and be confident in yourself. Like I said
earlier, you just need to know your worth and add tax, because the moment you do not know your worth as a person or even as a professional, you are going to be taken advantage of. Because like you said, there were times where even till now there are jobs that say, oh, we'll pay you with exposure. There is nothing wrong. If you want to volunteer, you are doing that with your full consent. But if it's a situation where you saw a job placement, you go there for a job, and the next thing they are telling you that they will pay you with
I'll take exposure. You to Dubai, I'll take you to this country, that country, paying you with promises. It's okay
for you to learn. Like for me, everybody, even at the foundational, I could do anything at that time. You could work for even the most meager salary because you want to learn, but the times are changing. That's different. And from the experiences that people have had, well, even though some people prefer that they will not learn from other people's experience, they would rather be the experience. So, but I think we've said so much already.
Exactly. Next set of people, come closer. Let me tell you something. Those of you that put in your CV that I can work under pressure. Go and remove that rubbish. Go and remove that thing from your CV. Because
whether you put it in your CV or not, you shall see pressure.
I don't work under pressure. No, I don't. See, I'm that person that if you want maximum results, I keep using myself as an example. If you want maximum results, tell me that thing beforehand. You can't tell me now and be expecting results from me. I won't do it. Because there are times, of course, when you have to like improvise, you have to work on the spot. There are times like that. But when it becomes
person, you don't really like spontaneity.
Funny enough, I'm very spontaneous.
Okay.
But when it becomes excessive, today you come and give me something at 1 o'clock and tell me you want to collect it by 2. Tomorrow you come again. Another day you come again.
That's putting you under
pressure. And it's not necessary, because you did not just, the annoying part is some people did not just find out that they're going to be needing that thing now. They did not. They have known for a very long time. Now they'll put you under that pressure. If I'm an employer and I see I'm able to work under pressure in your CV, I won't take you serious. Yes, I won't take you serious.
You don't feel like they're lying. They're trying to impress.
Exactly. I want to work with somebody who is able to know the odds from the start. What is going to be required?
Being more realistic.
Being realistic. You get? If you say I'm able to solve problems spot on, very good language. More understandable. I'm able to profile solutions in defistic and logical. Nobody prides themselves in working under pressure, because it's not a good place to be. Your mental health and your mental ability deteriorates when you start putting yourself under unnecessary pressure. So our time is fast spent, but this is the call we have to everyone here, because in a bid to want to impress, in a bid to want to, do this and do that, we become excessively loyal and we cheat the organization and cheat ourselves in the process. But let us now tell you what healthy loyalty looks like. Healthy loyalty aligns with personal values and morals. Like I said, if you want me to get the job done, tell me early enough so that I can brainstorm. I can use my head, to find out when and how that job is going to be carried out. So healthy loyalty aligns with personal values and morals. Now, respect boundaries and work-life balance. This is the gospel that we preach every time on the workstation. Have a healthy boundary between your work life and your personal life. Have a very respectful boundary, work-life balance basically. Encourage open communications and feedback. Good morning, boss. I noticed that in the last couple of months, I have been assigned the most responsibilities in this organization. I love my job, but it has become it has become of increasing pressure to me. Is there a way that my workload can be reduced? I will really appreciate it. You can even proffer solutions like, can I have someone understudy me to reduce my workload? Can I delegate some of this responsibility to trusted staff members? Talk, tell your boss, have communications with your boss, and feedback sometimes, very important. And number 4, prioritize employee well-being. That is your own well-being.
I think if things are going the way they're supposed to go, people will not necessarily resort to having to do too much to impress. So it's, apart from personality, it also starts with the workspace, the job space, the nature of the job, where people need to overdo just because they want to impress the management or the bosses that are there. So I think that employers should also see how they would create an environment where everyone is carried along. There is no need for a hearsay or eye service. Don't make people to only worship you when you are there. It should be a situation where even when you are not there, you can have staff that you can vouch for, that can do the work, not necessarily trying to be excessively devoted or kind of eye service devotion. It should be genuine loyalty that will help to move the company forward and also improve the welfare of your staff.
Now, conclusively, from Gallup, which is a workforce platform, it says 45% of employees report feeling overworked or burnt out. And according to the World Health Organization, it says 25% of employees experience anxiety or depression due to work. And I don't think this is a place you should find yourself in. Do your job, be good at what you do, and deliver an excellent job, but resist the urge to become over loyal. The dark side of loyalty, where everything goes for you. I fear a person that everything goes for. But anyways, learn to say no. And know when to say no.
Assert yourself.
So this brings us to the end of the workstation today, ladies and mental Jen. Thank you so much for being here with us. You have been hanging out with Martha and
Cassandra.
And together we have been talking about over loyalty in the work space, and we hope that you did learn a thing or two from the conversations that we had here. The final hour is the Girlfriends Show, and you already know what goes on there. Let's go find our girls somewhere within the premises and get them right into the studio and keep this conversation up. Do not go anywhere. We will be right back for the final time.
From